Happy New Year, everyone! You know what that means. Is the LG Stylo 5 worth buying in 2020? Well, in this video, let's find out. Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, and this is the LG Stylo 5. This phone was launched in the summer of 2019 and still remains a very popular device, especially at the various carriers in the US. Now this video is going to be all about whether or not you should still get it now that we're in 2020. I did recently put out a video on the channel going over what I'm hoping to see with the LG Stylo 6, but that phone will definitely not be out until at least June of 2020. So in the meantime, we are still stuck with the LG Stylo 5 as the most up-to-date, latest and greatest stylo phone. So let's kind of go over everything to see if it's still a good option for you. Now the device is available at a variety of different price points. And again, if you get it at a carrier, you're gonna be saving a lot of money. I know that some carriers like Metro by T-Mobile occasionally offer deals where you can even get this phone for free. So if that's the case, certainly go for it. Now Amazon is offering a special version of the phone called the LG Stylo 5 with Alexa, which is actually this device. Now it's factory unlocked and it will work with all 4 major US carriers, including AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, and Sprint. So going this route and getting this phone unlocked means that you're going to have the ability to easily jump from carrier to carrier. So with that in mind, that's a great thing, and it does kind of make this phone stand out from some of the other unlocked competitors. But the official MSRP for the phone over at Amazon is currently $299. Over the holiday season, they were offering it at a discount where you could get it for $159. So I do hope that in the future the price does go down a little bit, because at $299, I'm not sure if it's really worth it. So like I said, if you can get a good deal on this phone, that will certainly make it more justifiable to buy. Now the LG Stylo 5 features a 6.2-inch display. Now this display is LCD, but despite that, it looks extremely good. And that's because LG is actually really great at making displays, and they're one of the best display manufacturers out there. Now with other devices like the Samsung Galaxy A20, we are getting an AMOLED display, and I know that that phone competes with this phone in many ways, but you'll have to decide on your own if you do want to either get a phone with an AMOLED display or go this route with an LCD display. Now one of the features that does make the LG Stylo 5 especially stand out with its display is that it is 1080p. So compared to other devices in this price range where you typically get a 720p display, I certainly like that. And you can see here that the content on the display looks really clear and crisp and looks really good overall. So as far as the display goes with this device, it still is very competitive in 2020. We are getting an 18:9 aspect ratio, so a little bit thinner and taller. However, not quite as tall as other phones like the Samsung Galaxy A51, which I actually happen to have right here. And you can see with this device, it's actually about the same size, but you are getting more screen real estate because the bezels are significantly smaller. So with the LG Stylo 5, you still do have pretty large bezels on the top and bottom. There's also no notch here, but there's also no hole punch camera like you're getting with the A51. So in my LG Stylo 6 video that I put out recently, kind of going over my predictions, I am hoping that that phone does give us a hole punch front-facing camera. But for now, for the people that don't like notches, the LG Stylo 5 still is a decent option. Now the PPI of this display is 392, so a very good PPI, significantly better than what we're getting with the iPhone 11. So that's certainly great. Now up top here on the phone, we are getting a 5 megapixel front-facing camera, and it's actually not as bad as you might think. It does look good, and another cool thing about this front-facing camera is that you can switch over to this wider mode, so you'll fit a bit more content into the frame here. So that's great if you want to take a selfie with a group of people, or if you just want to take a selfie of yourself and have more of your surroundings in the photo. You can do that, so that's really cool. Another nice surprise too with the front-facing camera with the LG Stylo 5 is that you do get portrait mode. Now, despite getting portrait mode with the front-facing camera on the phone, unfortunately the rear camera does not offer portrait mode, and that is a bit of a surprise. So with the LG Stylo 5, we're getting a 13 megapixel rear camera, just one camera module here. So like I said, no portrait mode and no ultra wide angle lens here either. So a bit disappointing to see just one camera on the phone. but it is 13 megapixels, so that's a good thing. And let me show you a quick demonstration of how that looks. Now you can watch my full review video about the LG Stylo 5 to get a better idea of the photo and video quality from the device. But like I mentioned before, it still is a decent camera despite not having portrait mode and many of the other features that we come to expect even with budget smartphones. So it looks decent, it is usable, and the quality you're going to be getting from the rear camera is certainly good enough where you can post photos on social media, or maybe if you're going on vacation or something, you'll be able to preserve those memories and then post it on Instagram or wherever you like to post your photos. Now with the LG Stylo 5, we're getting 32 gigabytes of internal storage with SD card expansion up to 2 terabytes. So 32 gigs is not too impressive. It will get the job done. Now keep in mind that the operating system on the device does take up a decent amount of that internal storage. So at least you do have the option to expand that storage if you do need more of it. Now there is no wireless charging with the LG Stylo 5, which is a feature that I don't expect to see in a budget phone like this one, but it is a feature that I do use quite a bit on flagship phones and even mid-range phones that do offer it. Now we do also have a fingerprint sensor on the back of the LG Stylo 5, and it does work really well. So it's nice and quick, works perfectly fine, and the placement of it is also very convenient. Now with the device, we're getting 3 gigabytes of RAM and the Qualcomm Snapdragon 450 processor. Now 3 gigs of RAM is not too bad in 2020, but the Qualcomm Snapdragon 450 is nothing overly impressive. In fact, I ran an Antutu benchmark test to see what the score is for this phone, and you'll see it in a second here, but it's not very impressive at all. In fact, the score is 82771, and in my opinion, any device that has a score of under 100,000 typically won't give you that great of performance. And I kind of expect scores under 100,000 to come from phones that are $100 or less. So considering that this phone is being offered factory unlocked at $299 at the moment, doesn't really seem to add up considering that you're not going to be getting very good performance with this phone. Now, despite the Antutu benchmark score not being extremely high, you are still able to navigate around the device with no issues, so it is going to work smoothly for most functions. But if you are a power user or someone who is just constantly on their phone, whether it's posting on social media or even creating content with the camera or creating videos like I do all the time, this phone probably won't be good enough for you. But if you are kind of a casual smartphone user where you occasionally go on social media, but you do mostly calls and text messages, the LG Stylo 5 will get the job done. But in the successor to this phone, I am hoping to see a processor that's hopefully not even in the 400 series range for the Qualcomm Snapdragon processors, because really anything in the 400 series is not too good. Now with the device, we're getting video recording at 1080p at 30 frames per second, not too bad. We're also getting a decently beefy 3,500 milliamp hour internal battery, so not too bad of battery capacity with this phone. So I would like to see maybe a bigger battery in the future with a future version of this phone, but for now 3,500 milliamp hours will get the job done. Now as far as software goes, the phone still does have Android 9 Pie, and I have not seen any signs of it getting updated to Android 10 anytime soon. Now you might want to be a bit optimistic though, because the LG Stylo 4 just got updated to Android 9 Pie coming from Android 8 Oreo, which it had prior to that. So since the LG Stylo 4 did eventually get updated to Pie, I feel like eventually the Stylo 5 might get Pie, but it might not be until the end of 2020. So if you are really wanting a software update, then you're probably gonna have to be patient for a while. Now, taking a look at the hardware of this phone, there are some very big positives here. So, I already talked about the display quite a bit. It is a great looking display despite it being LCD. So again, with LG's display technology, they do a great job with it. Now the phone does have a nice metal band running all around it, which is a nice premium touch, something I would not expect from a budget smartphone. Now on the left side of the device, we have the volume buttons, and we have the slot for the micro SD card and SIM card. Then on the right side of the phone, we have the power button. Then on the top, we have the noise canceling microphone. And then on the bottom of the device, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack. We have the microphone. We have the USB-C port for charging and data transfer. We have the speaker. And then the highlight feature of the LG Stylo 5, the stylus. So I'm sure if you're considering getting this phone, you're already aware that it does have a built-in stylus, if I can get it out. But once you do, get it out of the device, you are able to use it, of course, and you can see that instantly after I remove the stylus, I get a variety of different options here on the top right side. So I have choices of pop memo, coloring book, draw chat, quick memo, and you can even add other applications to the sidebar if you want to. So, many of these apps aren't necessarily designed to be used with the stylus. However, you can do anything with the stylus that you would typically do with your finger. So any sort of navigation through the device can be done with the stylus. And I think it's great for many people that maybe have long fingernails or they typically aren't able to use the display on their phone very easily, then they can use the stylus instead. I know that a lot of people will go on Amazon and buy third-party styluses to use with their devices, and those never work quite as well as a stylus that's designed for the phone itself. So as far as stylus phones go, we pretty much have the LG Stylo series and Samsung's Galaxy Note series. So if you want to go the more premium route, go ahead and get a Note. You're going to get way more features related to the stylus, but if you are in a budget, then this is pretty much your only option if you really do want the stylus. Now another cool feature is that if you have the display off, and you remove the stylus, it will instantly take you over to this screen here where you can write notes. Now you can see I've already written some notes here, but you can add more and you can erase what you've created and you have the option to save it and then you can share it too. So if you're a student or maybe someone who just likes to jot stuff down versus typing with the keyboard, then this is a nice feature to have and I'm glad that they did include it with the LG Stylo 5. So very similar to iOS, and then if you do want to go back, you just swipe from the side. So it makes a lot of sense. Now the LG Stylo 5 is really good for content consumption. It doesn't have quite the best speakers I've ever heard from a budget phone, but it certainly will get the job done, and the speaker quality is good enough where if you want to just lounge around, maybe sit on your couch and watch videos on the phone, it'll be completely fine. Now you can see that one of the other benefits with this device having a 1080p display is that you can watch YouTube videos at 1080p and they do look really crisp and clear. So you can see how clear this video looks, and if you want to, you can of course crop in and get a more immersive experience. So with any device that doesn't have a 1080p display, like the Samsung Galaxy A20 for example, you are capped at watching your videos at 720p and it will not work at 1080p. And then overall, since this display does look really good on the phone, despite it being LCD, video is just gonna look great. So I'm really happy with that with the LG Stylo 5. The phone also does a good job with browsing the web. Now the performance isn't gonna be quite the best ever since it does have the Snapdragon 450 and 3 gigs of RAM, but otherwise everything looks really nice and clear. You can see how crisp text looks on the phone. And if you're really big into reading ebooks on your phone or just reading articles or doing anything, it's gonna look nice and it's gonna certainly get the job done. Especially with that large 6.2-inch display, it's gonna make everything nice and easy to see. So is the LG Stylo 5 worth buying in 2020? I would say that if you do want a budget phone with a stylus, you are pretty limited in options. Now you can go with an older Galaxy Note phone, like a Note 8, and with a device like that, you are gonna save some money and you'll probably get a better overall experience compared to the LG Stylo 5. I'm not really sure what those are going for currently, but you might wanna look into that as well. But otherwise, I mean, you're pretty much limited on options here with the stylus. So if that feature is important to you, then the Stylo 5 is probably the phone for you, at least until the Stylo 6 comes out this summer. And then my other favorite thing about this phone is that if you do buy it factory unlocked, I'm certainly a big fan of being able to use this with all 4 major US carriers. It's great for me, especially as a tech reviewer, because I'm easily able to switch from carrier to carrier, and I can put pretty much any SIM card I have into this phone and get it to work. But I'm really curious to know what you think. What do you think about the LG Stylo 5? Is it good to buy in 2020, or do you think people should go with a different option? Now, certainly if the stylus is not important to you, I would say that you should not go with this phone. Go with the Samsung Galaxy A20 or really any of the other phones in Samsung's A series. But unfortunately, they don't have a budget option yet that offers a stylus. I certainly think that if they did, it would be a huge seller. I know that many people have mentioned that the Samsung Galaxy A51 really is like a mini Note 10. And if it did have a stylus, that would make this phone a huge success. But I've also heard recently that Samsung is going to be launching a Galaxy Note 10 Lite. Now, I think that phone will probably be at least $400, so pretty much out of the price range of this phone. So you're going to have to decide if you want to go with the LG Stylo 5 and then have to deal with some of those compromises, like lacking certain camera features and then having a weak processor, or if you want to go with the used older Galaxy Note. That's up to you, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you do want to buy the LG Stylo 5 with Alexa factory unlocked, take a look at the link in the video description. But thanks everyone for watching. This is Kevin here, and I will see you in the next video.